What up? It's your boy Jonathan Rosales here from Sea Turtle Mindset. Super excited you're here today. Got my thinking cap on. You already know. Want yours? You go to seaturtlemindset.com. But let's jump right in. We're gonna take a different route this time. This book right here, The Tao of Health, Sex, and Longevity. A Modern Practical Guide to the Ancient Way by Daniel P. Reid. I'm telling you, stay tuned. This is going to be in different parts. This part that I'm going to cover is going to probably be a chapter that I've read so far. This is not an easy book to read as far as going through it because the concepts in it very interesting and very practical and very out of our Western world of understanding how to enjoy a more fruitful, healthy sex and longevity in our life. So with that being said, I'll see you on the inside. Okay, and we're back. So let's jump right into this. Basically, the book that I chose to review right now and to go over is The Tao of Health, Sex, and Longevity. Folks, it starts off with the introduction of what Tao is. The Tao. It's a philosophy in the ancient world, in the Eastern world. Confucius is one of the most persons that contributed to it. However, a lot of Chinese physicians, martial artists, and meditators over the last 5,000 years have implemented this way of life. So the Tao, in translation, is the way. So it's the way to life and how to live life. So the introduction basically covers a little of the history. We're not going to go over the history. I'm just going to jump right into the juicy meat and potatoes. There's several chapters. The first chapter, chapter 1, is diet and nutrition. Talks about Qi and energy. And for those who've seen my meditation balls, I spoke about Qi and meditation. And basically, it talks about the yin and the yang and how food and nutrition in our diet is very intertwined with our health and longevity. So right now, in my understanding of the world, there's a big concept of going vegan, all plant-based diet. Right now, myself, I'm a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for about a year. However, I do have my hiccups here and there because I do come from a background of being Guatemalan, so I have a Latin background. There's a lot of food that is a lot of meat in my culture. So it's been my journey of transitioning has been a little bit of a roller coaster. The way that I started my journey really goes all the way back to probably when I was 15. I realized I hated bacon. I hated chicharron, which is a delicacy in Central America with pig. And it just, when I ate it, vibrationally, I didn't like how it made me feel. And so I cut that off. And then I worked in a Mexican restaurant. So obviously, you know, I experimented a lot with meats. Barbacoa, the chivo, everything. Goat, steak, lamb, everything. Anything you can think of, I probably eat duck. I've tried crocodile. But, you know, as my journey began with the discovery of myself, and I started diving more deep within holistic healing, more Ayurvedic practices, and more meditation, and more of psychedelically kind of cleaning my pineal gland, I realized that, you know, red meat was my biggest reason why I went from cutting red meat completely was because it was just making me feel heavy. I wanted to feel light. I wanted to eat and consume what I wanted to use for the day. I didn't want to eat food and then still linger off the next day and still feel sluggish. So that's really what I went from no red meat. Then I went to just chicken and seafood and veggies. And then I cut that out completely. Then I went pescatarian for 2 years. And then from pescatarian, I just transitioned to vegetarian. So now I've been a vegetarian for a year and a half. The next goal is obviously to become vegan. And the main purpose is so that I can connect more. So I can connect more to source, more energy, more vibration, and truly longevity. And that's why I picked up this book. It's because I follow a gentleman, Chaka Bars, on Instagram, and he literally started talking about it on a live, And the next day I went to Savers. So for those who don't know what Savers is a thrift store. I buy all my books on Savers. Why? Because folks, this book probably on Amazon costs like 25 bucks. I bought it for $3. So thrift stores, always a great place to go find some gems. Luckily, the next day after listening to this book, and the main thing that caught my attention was semen retention. So that's what made me pretty motivated to, when I saw it, I was like buying it instantly. But it's interesting how this book has literally opened my mind to some crazy practical ways of making me live longer. So with that being my main motivator, living a longer, healthier life is what I'm striving for. That's really why I was inspired with the sea turtle as well. Just growing up, I always loved what the symbolism behind the turtle. The turtle, basically, it symbolizes wisdom and longevity. You know, they live long lives. The oldest turtle right now, his name is Jonathan, which is the book is based upon. Which is a coincidence, of course, but I think everything happens for a reason. However, the turtle, the oldest turtle alive right now, is 185 years old. He lives in an island of St. Helena, and sea turtles, they also mean the same thing. It's the marine version of a turtle, and they live for long time. The average lifespan of a sea turtle is 150 years. So that was my inspiration of why the book was based on a turtle. So when I saw the book, Longevity, Sex, and Health, you know, I feel that in order for you to grow as a being, as a human, you have to educate yourself. You have to build your awareness. And when I heard the term semen retention, first of all, I didn't know what it was. So I Googled it. Apparently, it is retaining your semen during sex or any sexual activity. And that was interesting. It was very interesting because obviously growing up in the Western world, sex is a taboo. Let's just keep it real. We're going to keep it 100 right now. And people don't like to talk about it. So when I started hearing these concepts, it was just odd that nobody was talking about it. Like when I went to, and please comment below. I mean, if you had sex ed in school and they didn't mention sex, if they didn't mention semen retention, just say something, because I never heard of this concept. However, in the Tao, right, based on what I've been studying so far, so the book is the way that it's set up, it has a lot of different topics. Let me read them for you. First chapter, like I said, is diet and nutrition. So it teaches you about the 3 concepts of being a vegetarian, a carnivore, and a mix. So it kind of gives you enlightenment on how the Chinese have used those types of classes to distinguish what kind of lifestyle to live. So for me right now, I am my lifestyle is a vegetarian because it just makes me feel good. I'm not saying eating meat is a bad thing. I'm just saying if it's not making you feel good, then just consider changing your diet, right? And so the cool thing about it is, within that chapter, it also talks about food combination, combining your food, how certain foods are pretty interesting, how they don't digest as fast if they were ate by themselves. I'll give you an example: cantaloupe, right, or melon. If it's eaten by itself, it's good for the stomach. However, if it's mixed with other fruits, it actually becomes it stagnates inside, because the stomach, when you eat, as soon as something touches your tongue, it sends a signal to your stomach to indicate what kind of mucus it's going to ascend, or what kind of acids it's going to send based on what you're eating, because it's going to tell you how it's going to digest it. For example, if you eat steak and then you eat chicken, 2 different types of meats, 2 different types of acids to digest, you know? For example, a bad combination, and folks, I'm not here to look down upon any type of foods that you eat, by all means. It's science, it's knowledge, it's foodology. One of the things that really got me interested was trophology. I can't even say it. I'm just gonna pull it down here. Trophology. See, my first language is Spanish, so please bear with me if my pronunciation is off. But trophology is the science of food combining certain foods. And one of the worst combinations is dairy and starch. And guess what? We grew up eating cereal. And that's the worst combination. Why is it bad? Because if you eat cereal by itself, it's good. If you eat milk by itself, it's good. But when you combine it, it's the chemicals and the reaction it has in your stomach, it actually takes longer to digest. Your stomach is working harder. That was my mind-opening thing. And so the science of good food combining, it really will spark the life of your culinary skills, or you'll become aware of what foods you can combine. So that was an interesting topic. Let's just do this. You know what? I'm gonna do it now. Part 1. This is part 1. Because I'm already over 5 minutes, and I want to keep this thing short and simple. So we're only going to talk about chapter 1 today. The study that I read, what's interesting is the study that is being told within the book about certain human dietary de-evolution. And what does that mean? Basically, what the book is saying is that the Western world has adapted to the, how do I want to put this? They have adapted to mass consumption. We're in a world of consumerism. And so when mass production came out, we basically said, you know what? Let's not evolve our bodies. Let's just produce as much as we can for the mass production. That's when GMO, genetically modified stuff, started coming out and all that. And one of the studies that got me like, whoa. So I haven't drank pasteurized milk for probably 4 or 5 years. It's just, the concept of drinking an animal's milk, when I started, diving deep within my consciousness, raising my awareness, raising my vibration, I was like, I don't know if I want to drink cow milk. That's just not me. So then I transitioned to almond milk. Recently, I started experimenting with oat milk. It's more healthier. It's definitely more nutritious, and there's more nutrients. And it's plant-based, obviously. But what was interesting, and here's what the interesting part was. They did a study with cats. 2 separate cats group, right? So the first cat group, right, they were giving them pasteurized milk. So what's pasteurized milk? Basically processed milk from companies. So you know how you ever get whole milk from the store, or 2% milk, or 1%? Matter of fact, I don't even understand what that means. What are you talking about? 2%, 1%? What are you talking about? It doesn't make sense. But that cat group was given that pasteurized milk. Then the other group was given raw milk, straight from the cow. However, it's too expensive for the population, is too big in America to be offered everybody raw milk. So the cost of raw milk is higher than processed pasteurized milk. So the 2 groups, right, control groups, the cat with the pasteurized, the cat with the raw, check this out. They fed them milk. Then they had babies. Second generation was weaker than the first generation in the group of the pasteurized milk. Third generation started having more problems. Heart issues, ligament issues, high cholesterol, diabetes in the cats, okay? The third generation was even worse than the second generation. It just got even worse. The third generation started experiencing stagnation, where they weren't even fertile to have even more babies. Now, that was the third generation. The fourth generation did not continue bringing more because they were completely sterile. These are the cats drinking pasteurized milk for multiple generations. So by the 4th generation of cats drinking pasteurized milk, they were sterile. That means they couldn't have babies anymore. So there was no 5th generation. That was done. Over. Right? Now, check this out. For the raw milk, straight from the cow, with the most nutrients, right? They had babies. The 2nd generation were as strong as the parents. 3rd generation, same thing. 4th, 5th, they could continue going because there was no chemicals. There was no mass production because it was straight from the source, right? And if you think about it, that was the interesting part. And that's when I had the eye-opening, because they were mentioning, like, the cow gets its nutrients from the earth, from the grass. So the cow is a vegetarian, right? So that's why the milk straight from the cow has the most nutrients, because there's no processing, right? Now, if it's pasteurized and processed, you have to add chemicals so it doesn't go bad in the refrigerators. It doesn't go bad from Texas to all the way to New England, right? It doesn't go bad when it's an import. So that's why they tested it. But imagine what it's doing to you, to us. That is not helping us live a longer life, longevity. That's what this book is about health. If you're looking to open your mind to longevity, health, and sex, I'm telling you, I highly recommend buying this book. 1000%. 1000%. So what's also interesting within that same chapter, it talks about and it breaks down each fruit as each food as well. So not only does it give you the background information of where and why and the research behind it, but it also gives you literally what certain foods will do for you. So for example, if you're suffering from, I'll give you an example. Let's say, okay, let's go with liver problems, right? If you have a liver problem, hardening, congestion, impairment of liver owing to excess consumption of refined starches, especially white flour, refined sugars, hydrogenated fats, and overcooked meats, and insufficient raw food in diet. Also due to excess use of alcohol and drugs, including nicotine. What can help? Yeast. Activate yeast is a potent source of B vitamins and pancreatic acid, all of which are vital for liver function and help reduce liver inflammation. Alkalizes the liver and stimulates liver functions. 1 pack of granular active yeast in a glass of warm water twice per day on an empty stomach only. Do not mix with other foods. Here's another remedy that you can use is tomato. Raw tomato is especially effective in reducing inflammation of liver due to hepatitis and cirrhosis. Best taken for 1 to 3 days exclusive of other food, either bulk or raw juice. May be mixed with carrot juice for flavor and extra therapeutic benefit. So it not only educates you, but it also gives you practical advice in terms of what you could do to avoid certain diseases. I'm not saying it will cure you. That is a disclaimer right there. It is a disclaimer. I'm not here. I am not a nutritionist. But I am someone who is recommending to read this book for health, sex, and longevity. It's definitely a highly recommended book. It's about 400 pages. I have not gone through the whole thing. I'm taking my time digesting the book. But, you know, the first introduction is phenomenal. It talks about what the Tao is and how the Yin and Yang is definitely... it's just balance, you know, and it also talks about that too. For those who, let's say, for my non-vegetarian friends and followers and subscribers, you know, it talks about cooking your food. You know, the raw, the better, because you're not killing the nutrition. That's basically it. So it talks about how Eskimos literally eat raw food, and why? Because it's raw and the nutrition's right there, right? And so if your stomach is made for if you have a carnivore stomach or digestive system, then it means just have your food a little bit more raw than cooked. See, fire kills nutrition. Same thing goes with plants and vegetables. If you cook it too much, you're just killing the life source energy that we're acquiring. Think about it like that. That's literally how I thought about it. That's how I've been changing my life. And it's life force energy, man. It's just energy. We're creatures of energy, you know? And we're like, the more energy you have, the more vitality you have, the more you can do, you know? So I hope this helped. It's a short review on chapter 1. I'm definitely going to dive more deep within the other chapters, especially the second chapter was crazy. A little clickbait. It's talking about fasting and excretion. So it was interesting because it started talking about cleaning your colon is definitely a recommendation, because over the years it builds up within your stomach, and excuse my French, we're full of shit. Yeah. So it's interesting, the next chapter. Look forward to speaking to you about the next chapter, because that's one thing too, man. You gotta be open-minded. I'm telling you, if you're closed-minded, I'm sorry, but that's not a good way to live. You have to be open-minded to other ideas, other thoughts, other philosophies, other religions. Not saying you have to accept them. However, you can pick and choose what you want, you know? So I've studied multiple religions. I've picked one. I'm not going to tell you what my denomination is because there's no need. I believe in God, and I believe that wisdom and understanding is what we're here for, and we're here to spread the wisdom so that we can help each other out and go to the next level. It's all about energy and vibration. Let's get to the next level. If you're looking for more health in your life, highly recommend picking up this book. If you want to increase your sexual life and your sexual energy, 100%, gentlemen, excuse me, women, I'll get to you right now. Gentlemen, if you want to live longer, if you don't want no gray hairs, if you want skin that is healthy and is not sagging when you're 50, best believe you better start learning about semen retention. Ladies, if you're married or have a boyfriend, you better tell him about semen retention, because not only are you going to get the benefits, but he's going to reap the rewards. Okay? Longevity. That's what the sea turtle represents. That's what turtles represents. It represents longevity. I am here to live to be 125. I'm 27 years old right now. I ain't looking to kick the bucket at 70. I'm sorry. But the only way you're going to live longer is if you treat this temple with the utmost respect, and if you change your oil in your car every 3,000 miles, best believe there's something that you got to change in yourself so that your system, your body is running at optimal performance. With that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. Subscribe below if you're a new subscriber. Highly recommend go buying this book on Amazon, or if you can find it at a thrift store, take the steal. With that being said, you already know, it's your boy, Jonathan. Namaste, and I'll see you in the next video. Continue to spread the wisdom. I'm out. Peace.